Graph the equation by finding the x and y intercepts. Just a quick review, an x and y intercept is, see if this is our, graphically, anyway, I'll give you a visual. This is our line. Our our y-intercept rather, where it intercepts the y-axis right here, be this point. Our x-intercept would be where it crosses the x-axis, which is right there. So that's how you would represent that graphically. So if you had a graph, it wouldn't be too terribly hard to pick out the intercepts. But we are given an equation, which means we need to solve for them algebraically. Now, the y-intercept, gotta draw my graph back in here to give you an explanation of that. The y-intercept happens when x equals 0. So as you can see, you're going 0 in the x direction. You're not going this way or this way. You're going straight up. You got 0 for your x value, and it's up to 4. So it's at the point 0, 4. Similarly, your x-intercept, you're not going up or down. You're going straight out to this point -4. Now these points don't correspond to our equation. They're ones that I just made hypothetically for an example. So our x-intercept has an x value of -4, but it has no y value. So what we get from this is that when we are finding our, see, this is our y-intercept, this is our x-intercept. When we have a y-intercept, x equals 0, and when we have a x-intercept, y equals 0. And we can use that knowledge to solve algebraically for both x and y-intercept. So let's start with the x-intercept. I'm going to erase our graph example here, but I'm going to keep the coordinate point example up there for reference. So we're solving for the x-intercept, which means our y value is going to be 0. So we are going to plug in 0 for y. So we'll rewrite this 3x minus 2 times 0, because when you have an x-intercept, y is 0, equals -6. Now this goes to 0, because anything times 0 is 0. So we're left with 3x equals -6. Divide by 3, that's the division property of equality. Do it on one side, gotta do it on the other. -6 divided by 3 gives us -2. So when our y is 0, we'll write this in there. This will be our answer box down here. Our x-intercept, when our y is 0, our x is -2. So that's where our line will cross the x-axis. Our y is 0, our x is -2, and there's our x-intercept. So now we're going to find our y-intercept. Back in our little hypothetical example here, our y-intercept, this coordinate point right here, our x value is 0. So we're going to do something similar, but with the other variable. We're going to plug in 0 for x. So we get 3 times 0 minus 2y equals -6. This goes to 0, so we get -2y equals -6. Again, that division property of equality comes up all the time. It's good to know. These cancel. -6 divided by -2. Negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we are left with y equals +3. So our y-intercept, our coordinate point form down here, or whatever you'd like to call it, our x value was 0, and we found that when that happens, our y value is 3. So we can plot this point, x is 0, and it goes up 3 up the y-axis. So we can guess that this is a pretty good guess. I mean, these points might not line up good, but using those intercepts, that is what our line will look like when we graph that equation, which is what the problem asked us to do. Graph the equation using the x and y intercepts. We found those here, and we graphed our equation.